I want to share my journey with you all because I'm feeling this urge to shift my content into something that much more raw and real. I grew up in a very loving home. My family was nothing but supportive, encouraging, and loving towards me. Though being the daughter of two highly respected, successful doctors was hard. My parents never put pressure on me to succeed in the same way that they have and did. In fact, their whole philosophy in parenting me surrounded the idea that if I put my best effort on any given day, that was all that mattered. The grades and the accolades meant nothing. And so, where did this belief that I was not good enough come from if all my parents ever told me that my worth was not defined by the accolades I acquired? And to be completely honest, I'm still searching for the full answer, and I think I will be for a good while. But I know that even though my parents told me that I could be whoever I wanted to be as long as I was putting in my best effort, I still felt this need to live up to their success. I wanted to prove that I was capable of pushing myself to the levels that they pushed themselves. And I wanted to feel valuable in a world that values those accolades, those perfect grades, that perfect everything. I criticized myself heavily, and the amount of pressure I put on myself to succeed and to be perfect was immense. And couple that with navigating how to be and just function as a teenager, I set myself up for disaster. As I entered into my teen years in middle school, the saying, "middle school sucks," really hit me hard. I just wanted to be liked, seen, and understood, but what I failed to realize was that every single person around me was just trying to do the same thing. They may have very well meant that mean comment, or they may have just been internalizing something that someone else said to them and were projecting that onto me because they thought that that's just how this middle school thing went. And so in my attempt to be liked and to fit in, I engaged in friendships where exclusion was a normal occurrence. Conversations about who was beautiful, who was ugly, and who needed to lose weight were the norm. And all the people involved in the friendships were struggling in their own right, but didn't yet know how to communicate that, including myself. And because of that, I felt like there must have been something wrong with me. And if I was being excluded day after day, or if I was the center of conversation surrounding body image, that I was the problem. And those thoughts became another layer in my trauma of not feeling good enough. The pressure I put on myself began to mount because now it wasn't just about getting those grades and accolades. Now it was about getting people to like me for who I am and for what I bring to the table. And that shit is so heavy. I compared every inch of myself to what I thought I should look like, act like, and be like. I spewed words of hatred towards the body that carried me through every day of my life and only wanted to see me thrive. I ridiculed myself for missing that 1 point on my math test because I thought I should have been able to get that perfect score. I thought I needed to be smart, worthy, and valuable. I criticized myself down to the way that my eyes crinkled right here when I smiled, and every piece of me was something to condemn, and I couldn't foresee a reality where I could experience anything different. I thought to myself, if middle school is this hard, what the hell is high school gonna be like? And for a while, it was more or less more of the same, but it was coupled with some pretty severe health issues that really rocked my world and made it really difficult. The summer before my freshman year of high school, I started developing symptoms of IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. It's a little bit TMI, but I was bloated all the time, which really didn't help improve my already strained relationship to my body. I had brain fog constantly. I was irritable and quick to snap at all the people that I loved and cared about. Honestly, I was miserable and I didn't know what to do. The hard thing is nobody really knows what to do about IBS because it looks so different for everyone and it affects everyone so differently. Now I know that for me, the main trigger of my symptoms was the self-induced stress and anxiety I felt every day because I believed that I was not good enough. But someone else's trigger could have been completely different and their treatment plan could have looked different. Though the only treatment plan I came across was to do an elimination diet to see which foods may have been irritating my system, so that I could then compile a list of safe foods and stick to those. And this process worked for me. My bloating went away. I was so excited that I actually felt more confident in my body because a lot of the inflammation and water weight I was retaining went away. And I felt like I was in control of my life. I felt like I was finally good enough at something. This feeling became addicting to me. I wanted so desperately to keep myself from having a flare-up, and I wanted so badly to stay as small and lean as I had become that I restricted myself only to the safe food group I had identified for myself for the sake of wellness. Now, that group of foods wasn't very large, and so the amount of food I was consuming overall wasn't very large, and I just kept getting smaller and smaller. And I thought I was doing something good for my health because I was no longer having the uncomfortable symptoms I had been dealing with a few months before, and people were complimenting me left and right for how small I was. So I thought I must have been doing something right. But even though I wasn't experiencing those same symptoms, my physical health was still taking a hit. I had no energy, I was always cold, and I was irritable most of the time. And my mental health was suffering on a level it never had before, because while I was happy with how I looked, I still found things to criticize, and I found things I wanted to change about my body even then, at my smallest. And even with my lack of energy, I pushed myself to the max to attain the perfect grades, because now that I was in high school, college was right around the corner, and I had to make myself look desirable to colleges. My transcript had to be good enough, and I had to be good enough. I ran myself into the ground, picking myself apart, and it wasn't until I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror where I saw the sadness in my eyes, the fear in my heart, and the shrunken version of myself staring back at me, that I questioned who this belief that I wasn't good enough served. And I realized it wasn't serving anyone, and it most definitely wasn't serving me. I finally understood that I deserved better. I began to entertain the thought that maybe I was good enough simply because I was. And when I truly started to believe that, my life changed forever. I realized that women feel this need to shrink themselves to fit into society, a tight pair of jeans, or the standards and expectations that others have set for them. But after evaluating my own struggle, I recognized that it was time to stand up and stand out. I started telling myself that I deserved to take up space in this world, that me, my opinions, and my feelings were and are valid. I told myself that I was so much more than what I thought about myself in my worst days, and that I was worthy regardless of the voices of others telling me otherwise. And so I wrote my book, Simply Not Enough, to fully encapsulate the journey to discovering and accepting that reality as the truth. I wanted to fully express that the feeling of not feeling good enough is so universal, and it impacts so many of our lives. You are not alone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. I feel and felt so called to showcase that this journey is not easy, and you will hit bumps in your road, but those bumps are what make you resilient, and your resilience will allow you to choose and to continue to choose to believe that you are good enough simply because you are. Simply Not Enough will show you that you have the power to determine your own reality. You have the power to believe in yourself, but it will not always be as easy as just deciding, hey, I'm good enough. You will have to continuously and consciously work to change your thinking, your habits, and your relationship to yourself, mind, and body. This may sound scary and overwhelming, and I totally get it. I was in the same boat, and that's why I created a community called Simply Enough that takes the lessons from my book and works to empower its members to show up as their highest selves, who understand the value of their presence and the importance of their worth. Through sharing personal experiences, exploring the topics of my book, and building a community of women that lift each other up and support each other in times of need, Simply Enough strives to change the way women show up in the world. Simply Enough will provide you with the tools you need to fully begin to accept yourself as you are. You will learn about meditation, journaling, body acceptance, and body neutrality. And you will realize that your mental health is sacred, and it is the pillar of wellness, truly. Though most importantly, you will learn to respect your personal journey without judgment for what it looks like compared to the community members around you. You will connect with your authentic self. And you can find more information about this community and how to join on my website at kelentamurian.com, which is now linked in my bio, so you can go check that out whenever you'd like. And I just hope that my story helps you see that you're not alone in your struggles, even if they look different than mine did. And I hope that my mission ignites a flicker of hope within you that you can change the way you think about yourself. You can feel amazing in your life, in your mind, and in your body. And I hope it shows you that you are good enough simply because you are, no questions asked, even if it takes you a little while to get to that place, because that's what this is all about. It's about taking those moments and getting clear with what's really important to you. What do you value? What aspects of your life do you need to work on a little bit more so that you can get to that life of wellness, that state of wellness? And so, yeah, I'm just so grateful to be able to share this story with you and to continue to share my story and tips that I've acquired over the last few years. Really is kind of when this journey has started for me, especially over the last year in quarantine. Really gave me time to think about this. Of course, that's when I wrote my book. So I'm just so excited to continue to share what's on my heart and to really make this space so raw and real, because as much as mental health is being talked about on social media, people are not opening up completely. They're not sharing everything, and I am so happy that I really don't have a filter when it comes to this stuff. I am so comfortable being vulnerable, and I think that we need more of that on social media and in real life. So that's why I created my community. That's why I wrote my book. That's why I keep coming back to this Instagram page, and I want to keep sharing, because I am so over seeing the oversaturated photos, the picture perfect bodies on social media, and there's not enough real life. And even when there are those real life photos, you have no idea what's actually going on behind the scenes. They could be editing out their cellulite. They could be filtering it in a certain way so that even though it's a real post, it's not. So I just want to create this space and have it be something that's so authentic and real, and I am really excited to do that. And I'm so grateful that you are coming back to this page over and over again and joining me on this journey of sharing my own story and really pushing yourself to start your own. So I'm just going to say it again. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to keep sharing.